All right, folks, this is Joe Imbriano. It's Monday evening, and I'm gonna keep pounding information out while I have the ability to do so, folks. Because let me tell you something, we're in up to our eyeballs. I don't know what your forte is. I don't know what floats your boat. To a lot of you, whether it's that jumbo hot dog at Costco with the big soda, or you guys are into your wheatgrass shots in the morning. Here's the deal, folks. We all got a major problem, and that is that we are all facing a bullseye painted on our faces, folks. There are people high up in the government, in academia, in the religious institutions, in the legal systems that have all worked together for a common goal of lowering the world's population by 95%. And this goal involves a lot of different operations and a lot of different equipment. It's unbelievable how many different agencies that are compartmentalized alphabet agencies are actually involved in this, and some do not even realize what they're taking part in. But at the very high levels, what is orchestrating all of this amalgamation of evil, if you will, is extremely anxious to head for the finish line. I get upset over the blatant robbery and destruction of our beautiful nation that so many of us and our forefathers worked so hard to build and to preserve and to allow to be carried on to their progeny. We're living off of the sacrifices of people that lived and died hundreds of years ago, folks. And what's going on right now is they are putting us to sleep. They've got all kinds of sleeping gas, folks. Did you know that the sleeping gas comes in a lot of shapes and flavors and colors? Some of it's the beer, some of it's the whiskey, some of it's the ice cream, some of it's the frosting, some of it's the video games, some of it's the gym, some of it's the nail salon, some of it's the massage parlor, some of it's the Fortnite or the Xbox, some of it's the Simpsons, some of it's Fox News, some of it's the Wall Street Journal, some of it's LA Times, or some of it's Vanity Fair, some of it's MTV, some of it's Rolling Stone, some of it's your bong, some of it's your oxy bottle, some of it's your heroin needle, some of it's your crack pipe, some of it's that big blunt you like to twist up, some of it's just you looking for ways to not deal with reality. But to all of us, we've got to deal with reality, folks. And they've got biotechnology that has been honed and perfected for the last at least 20 years, since the biotech revolution of the late 90s. Since the biotech revolution of the late 90s, the advances in these things that defy most people's understanding or ability to understand just how dire the implications of these genies getting out of the bottles really are. They're horrific. I know that most of you have immersed yourself in watching the proceedings in Washington, D.C., and some of you, you may be, I don't know the demographics of my audience, but I'll tell you this. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, if you're on the left or the right, because guess what? It's a false dichotomy. It's a phony paradigm, folks. Both the left and the right are eugenicists at the top levels. And they're murderers. Because it doesn't matter if it's Obama or Bush in the White House. We either kill the babies at home and bankrupt everything with the social service giveaways, or if we get a Republican in there, we bankrupt everything with the war machine and kill everybody overseas. The net result is a lower standard of living, a tripling of the debt, and the body count that stacks up, whether it be in the abortion clinics or on the fields of a desert. The net result is a reduction in the population equatable with the regimes, whether they're Republican or Democrats. But one thing that advances in either regime with a D or an R, when it doesn't really matter, actually. You know, the only thing that matters between, the only difference between a Democrat and a Republican in the White House is which economic group you belong to, because the pendulum swings both ways. When we get a Democrat in there, if you're on the lower end of things, you get a little more money. And if there's a Republican in there, if you're on the higher upper echelon of the economic spectrum, you get a little more money. If you're in the middle, you get screwed, because either way you lose. If you're in the middle, that's where nobody wants you. They want you poor, and they want you rich to be sold out to money so you won't get involved in anything, or they want you poor so you don't have enough to where you won't be able to do anything. But if you're in the middle, like a lot of us, like me, who are content with my lot in life, and who are eager to fight for what is right, and not pursue the love of money, because to be honest with you, money doesn't buy happiness. It doesn't buy health. Those things are gifts from God, and they're coveted gifts from God. And you know what? Once they're given to you by God, you need to respect them, and you need to nourish them. You need to nourish love and health in your life. But the point I'm getting at is the eugenics agendas continue behind the scenes, whether Obama's in the White House, or Bush is in the White House, or Clinton's in the White House. We get the vaccine mandates, we get the eugenics, we get the biotechnology companies advancing, whether it's the hepatitis shot by Bill Clinton for the newborns, you know, the hooker vaccine for the babies when Clinton was in the White House, or whether it's the Epicide Corn company that makes the biotech that sterilizes men when Bush was in the White House. It doesn't matter. What we got going on now, folks, is gene drives. Gene drives. You know what gene drives are? Look them up. You know, they're monkeying with stuff, folks. They're sticking these little wind-up toys into the genetic code of insects. And one of these little wind-up toys they use is the Wolbachia genes, which is a bacteria. They take these genes out of this bacteria, and basically what this stuff does, it results in what's called cytoplasmic incompatibility, and it's basically reproductive manipulation that basically makes it so an infected male can't get the girl pregnant, whether it's a mosquito or a fruit fly. Now, I will tell you, I'm going to keep bringing this up. They have released, I believe, trillions of mosquitoes in the United States. And I don't know what they're infected with, but, you know, we've got these arboviruses that are popping up that, you know, we're having these arbovirus. These mosquitoes are transmitting these diseases, whether it be yellow fever, or West Nile, or dengue, or Zika, or Japanese encephalitis, or there's a few other ones I may have missed, but you know, it's the same name, it's the same group of all these neuroinvasive encephalitic viral infections that they're finding ways to get into us, and it's always the kids that get nailed by this crap. You know, we've got these 6 cases in Minnesota, and I think there was a case in Ohio. A 7-year-old boy developed a super high fever. And by the way, folks, if you've got children, as I do, boy, here's another mosquito that's in my car. This is unbelievable. You know, I don't know how these mosquitoes are getting into my car. I got my windows closed. That's the second one I've killed on my windshield. If you've got children, you got to watch out for the headaches and the flu-like symptoms, and watch their temperature, because they've released all kinds of mosquitoes all over the country, all over the world. I've got people coming, emailing me, and by the way, my email is joeimbriano777@gmail.com. That's my email. I would love for you to send me information on what's going on in your part of the world, and I would like to talk to you and possibly even have you on the show to discuss what is going on. Let me tell you something. This YouTube channel is really nothing more than me trying to wake people up to what's going on, folks. And I know a lot of you right now, you may be saying, well, you know, I already know about this. There's nothing we can do about it. Now, that's not true. They've got weaponized insects being released all over the country, and there's a lot you can do, folks. You can't avoid these bugs, but you can get your body ready for battle. You got children, you need to watch out for these symptoms of headache and sensitivity to light and you know, the chills and the flu. Really got to keep an eye on headaches at the back of the head, the base, you know, the brain stem, that area, the meninges. And let me tell you something, folks. Some of this stuff can be really nasty, and it can kill your children. But it can't kill your children unless you help it kill your children. And the first thing you can do to stop letting people kill your children is to stop feeding them the poison. You stop feeding your children sugar. I don't care if you have to get into a fight with your wife or get into a fight with your husband. You need to get the sugar out of your house and out of your life, and have a zero tolerance policy for refined sugar. I'm just warning you. The medical system has already made it evidently clear in no uncertain terms that there are no cures for a lot of these viruses, that there are no treatment protocols for these viruses. There are no vaccines for some of these viruses. Not that I would ever propose you taking a vaccine to begin with. So why is it that if the medical system has no solutions, no prevention, and no cure, why is it that we're not being told what we can do? Listen, I'm telling you what you can do. And you need to understand the benefits of going without sugar in your life, folks. You cannot have an infection in your body take hold and kill you unless you got something to feed it. And I'm not totally sold on this viral infection thing, okay? I've done a lot of research, and I tend to question the existence of a lot of things they tell us, okay? There's more to this stuff than meets the eye, but I will tell you that these gene drives have been inserted into these mosquitoes. And while they tell us, oh, it's because we want to lower the mosquito population, if we put these gene drives in these male mosquitoes, then what'll happen is you'll have this cytoplasmic incompatibility to where we have this reproductive function manipulation where the infected males will end up not being able to get these females pregnant, and we're going to see this massive die-off in mosquitoes and solve the problem. The hell we're not! We've got epidemic proportion of mosquito invasions all over the country. And now, after they admitted that they released a whole bunch of mosquitoes with gene drives inserted into them, with this Wolbachia bacteria genetic material in these mosquitoes, with these genetically modified mosquitoes, these Aedes aegypti mosquitoes that they've released by the trillions in the United States. We got mosquitoes up the yin-yang all over the place, everywhere. And this is in light of the fact that they've used this genetic manipulation to supposedly solve the problem. They're not solving the problem, folks. What they've done is they've made this problem worse. They've made this problem a lot worse. And it ain't getting any better. The only way this problem's gonna get better is if we wake up to the fact that they got plans for us and we're not gonna put up with it. And let me tell you how we defend ourselves from this, folks. We expose the agencies responsible for being complicit in this scam. We go to meetings, we film them, we put their pictures up, we contact them, we write letters, we warn our public officials about what's going on, but we must take our health back. And by the very definitions, the vaccines are not effective against these diseases, so why take all these extra shots? Why get injected with a bunch of nanotoxins, folks? Get the sugar out of your life. Wake up to the fact that they've got stuff aimed at you, and it's no match for a healthy body. I have children that have been exposed to West Nile multiple times. How do I know this? Well, I can tell you right now they've had the symptoms, but they're healthy, and so it runs its course. Everybody in my house has been bitten by mosquitoes 100 times over in the last month. Some have developed headaches and runny nose and flu-like symptoms. They go away. It goes away. You know why? Because I don't feed my kids garbage. They eat normal food that God made. They get plenty of sunlight and fresh air. And guess what? I'm not worried about them waking up paralyzed. I'm not going to live in fear of these weaponized insects, okay? And neither should you. You need to be outside in the sunlight. If you want to use mosquito repellent, be my guest. If you want to use real mosquito repellent, use aloe vera gel. Get yourself some aloe vera plants and rub it on your skin. But the most important thing you can do is get off the Haagen-Dazs, okay? You got to get off the bone-dissolving stuff with the weird logos on it that comes in a carbonated can. And you got to get off the ding-dongs. You got to get that sugar out of that house. I mean it. Because they got gene drives inserted into these things. And I'm not sure exactly what their plans are, because it's certainly not reducing the mosquito populations. The mosquito populations are increasing. And they're increasing exponentially. And the types of mosquitoes that are finding their ways into our homes and neighborhoods are not the kind of mosquitoes that were here before Donald Trump got put in the White House. And that's a fact, folks. This stuff has gone on during his administration. His administration has turned out to be one of the biggest Trojan horses in my life. And I've been alive for 52 years. And I have never seen a group of people more asleep at the switch now than we have because he's in the White House. And sure, you know, the vice president's going to be making the lecture circuit. You know, he's going to be appearing in all these Zionist churches that are promoting the rapture dispensational theology, especially the Calvary chapels out here in Southern California. You watch. You know, they're going to roll him out like a circus clown and put him up on the stage in all these phony churches that suck everybody's money and tell everybody that the rapture's coming next week. I got news for you, folks. The rapture ain't coming, but I'll tell you what is coming. War and weaponized insects. Now, California is no stranger to staged outbreaks. We've had the staged measles outbreak at Disneyland, where they never identified the source or the patient zero, nothing. And it was a strain of measles that was shown to have been immune to the strain of measles that the vaccines are designed to fight against. And I even question whether the vaccines have any efficacy or not. That's a whole nother discussion. Now we have a typhus outbreak in the homeless population in Los Angeles. And it's a flea-borne epidemic of typhus. That's right. Now we got more blood-sucking insects spreading third world disease. How did the typhus epidemic start in the homeless population in LA? How did the hepatitis A outbreak start in the homeless population in San Diego, when that strain of hepatitis A that was found in the homeless population of San Diego wasn't even native to this continent? Why is it that these Aedes aegypti mosquitoes are now everywhere throughout the country when they weren't even native to this hemisphere? The only way the Aedes aegypti mosquitoes used to manage to travel was in the used tire trade. They'd breed in these tires that always had water in them. You ever seen tires? It's hard to get water out of tires, even if you pick them up. I mean, it's hard to dump the water out of these tires. It really is. But we don't have a used tire trade in the United States, folks. You know what we do have? We do have a Centers for Disease Control and an Environmental Protection Agency and a military that's all run by a bunch of eugenicists. That's right. Because we got people working in Harvard and MIT and in Berkeley and Fort Detrick, Maryland, and you know, all these bioweapons programs. They've got these gene drives that they're afraid to let out of the lab because they're afraid it will spread throughout the wild population and kill off everything. Can you imagine if the gene drive from the mosquitoes that they engineered to kill off the reproductive process killed off all the queen bees and all the beehives? You know what we'd be doing for food, folks? It'd be corn. That's it. Wind-pollinated crops, corn. Do you realize what they're doing? Do you realize what they're playing with? Do you realize how dangerous this is, folks? Do you realize what these people are doing? They know what they're doing. Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what's going on? Are you aware of how serious this problem is? Are you aware of who's behind this? You need to get your family's health in order, and I mean pronto, folks, because all it takes is one mosquito bite and your kid's going to go down for the count, and there ain't nothing they can do. And I don't care where you move to in the United States, these mosquitoes are everywhere now because they've released them everywhere. There is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. Okay, and this is not a song from the 60s, folks. This is reality in 2018. We got the biggest Trojan horse in the United States history in the White House. And we just had this Nixonian-era politic kabuki theater charade that has yielded the installation of a Bush operative, Jesuit-trained Supreme Court justice that just finished putting the jots and the tittles on the Patriot Act a decade ago, now is on the Supreme Court. All right? Does that make you feel any better? It doesn't make me feel any better, because you know what the bottom line is, folks? The 5G's coming, and the weaponized mosquitoes are waiting for me to get out of my car when I get to my house. And I have these young girls I got to look in their eyes tonight, and I got to see if they've got any neuroinvasive encephalitic symptoms going. Because every headache now is a questionable one. We got to keep an eye on our kids, folks. You've got to keep the sugar out of your kids' lives. And you know what? All of these demonic companies, that's right. All right, I'm driving by one right now. Del Taco, nothing but garbage food in that place. Soda fountains, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Carl's Jr., all these places, Kentucky Fried Crap. You know, everybody that sells soda, Costco, that gigantic death fountain outside where they have all the glyphosate-infested wheat products. Look, folks, they're killing you with the sugar. The sugar is death. The sugar is a gateway to genocide, ladies and gentlemen. And the gene drives they're putting into bugs are the light switch to turn on the mechanism. And wait till the 5G comes and they really ramp up the rest of the nanotech that's in everything. I'm telling you, folks, it's time to snap out of your slumber. You know, there's nothing wrong with checking out once in a while and taking a vacation, folks, but you got to stop living in La La Land, okay? Everybody thinks life is a freaking Disney cruise, and if it's not the cartoon and the warm blankie and the hot warm cookie as you cozy up to your mind control, then you wake up in the morning and you have to take a couple of rips or a couple of flips or a couple of shots or a couple of jabs or whatever you're into so you can deal with reality. How about opening two eyes all the way? Opening up that Bible and reading the words on that page as you realize that this place is not a Disney cruise. That what we live on is a place that has been overrun with evil, that is being allowed to be overrun by evil by a bunch of lazy cowards that they're turning into pigs as we speak. Because they've got you trained to be a Pavlovian slave to come running with your tongue sticking out when they ring the din-din bell. And they're putting gene drives in the mosquitoes. And they're releasing them everywhere. As you stare into the bright white projector beam headlights they've put on all the cars. My car's the only car on the road that's got incandescent light bulbs in the headlights. Everything else is bright white, 5,000 degree Kelvin, melatonin disrupting headlights that ruin your circadian rhythm and wear you down so you can't sleep. And that works synergistically with the Wi-Fi systems that you've brought into your house to destroy your melatonin production and to give your children cancer and infertility. As the mosquitoes bite all of you with worn down immune systems with that high fructose corn syrup in the ice cream, in the cookies, in the brownies, in the soda, in the yogurt, in the cereal, in the hot chocolate, in the donuts, in the frosting, in the sprinkles, in the milkshake, in the nutritional supplements, in the gummy bears, in the gummy vitamins, in the granola. God help us, folks. Why do you let them do this to you? Why are you letting them do this to our children? Why is it that we live in fear of the headline that our child may be paralyzed from below the nose from waking up one day laying in bed from a mosquito bite, folks? Why do they continue to have this reign of terror over us to where now we're not allowed to go outside during the day for fear of the day-biting mosquitoes? So much for vitamin D, huh? So much for sunlight that we so desperately need. So much for the daylight, right? Now they've made you prisoners of your own Wi-Fi prison as you suffer under white light at night from your idiot box smart TV that's got 10,000 pixels or whatever on it, that's broadcasting at 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, soon to be 60 gigahertz, as they get ready to make you slam that Y-gig into your house that's going to render the oxygen molecules unbindable to your hemoglobin molecules in your bloodstream. And you wonder what's the next season of The Simpsons coming up, or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Maybe I'm out of touch with what's on TV, folks. I don't know, but you know what? 20 years ago it was garbage, and I'm sure it's garbage to the 20th power now. Wake up! Start reading the ingredients of what you're buying. And start looking your children in the eye. And you want to know something? You may not see them tomorrow because they may end up with a bunch of hoses in them at a hospital from a mosquito bite, ladies and gentlemen, courtesy of the CDC, who's playing God with gene drives in the mosquitoes. That's right. You think they're putting stuff in these mosquitoes that are designed to sterilize the mosquitoes? Did it occur to you that they're putting stuff in all these bugs to do stuff to you? You ever heard of a binary weapon system, folks? Did you ever hear of gene activation frequencies that have patents that they can turn on remotely? They can inject you with something, and they can flip a switch from a cell tower, and they can declare war on cells that are specific to kidney tissue. They can declare war on cells that have beta-HCG surrounding them. They can declare war on anything they want with this biotech, folks. You think they've been importing these 180 IQ kids and giving them a 12-year bed and breakfast scholarship on your dime to make ding-dong wrapper openers? You better wake up, folks. Look. Look, folks. You see how white all the lights are behind you? See these headlights of these newfangled Wi-Fi cars? You see this crap? You own one of these pieces of junk that's got Wi-Fi in it so your kids get irradiated and they keep that iPad on their lap and burn up their ovaries? You probably do. You know what? Get yourself an old car that they can't remote control and blow up, okay? That's a fact, folks. And you know what? You need to realize something here. That your kids may be working for one of these corporations in their postgraduate work, creating the demise of humanity with this high-level PhD they're working on. You know, these gene drives they're inventing in San Diego, and what they're sticking inside the corn with the epicyte genes, and what they're putting in the vaccines with the beta-HCG and the nanotech and all of the IQ reducing hormones that they administer to the young children that attacks the cerebral cortex, and we wonder why we have these congenital deformities and abnormalities with our young children. It's all right, because you want to make sure that your kids get injected with this stuff so they can sit in a classroom and get irradiated by the weaponry the school district brings in, right? Because that's what it's all about. You want your kids to have the best, right? As you drive them around in a microwave sardine can called one of these new cars, right? Isn't that right, folks? That's right. That's right, folks. That's exactly what it is. You need to wake up because you're killing your family and you're destroying your progeny, folks. You're destroying your progeny. And it's going to be all your fault when that day comes, when you're in your 60s or when you're 50s or 40s and your daughter looks you in the eye and says, "Mom, I can't get pregnant." after she spent 20 years in school, racked up $400,000 in tuition debt, and gets a job working for one of these killer companies that have weaponized everything, that she's been sterilized by the technology that she used to get the education to develop the technology to sterilize everybody else. And it's your fault. It's not my fault. I'm the one who's been warning you for years. That's all right, you guys. I know that my loyal listeners know what I'm talking about, and you're going to take precautions, and you're going to do the right thing, and you're going to do what's necessary to protect your family, and you're not going to fill up trash cans full of beer bottles and watch the ball game anymore. You're going to wake up and take back your children's health and take responsibility for your spouse and your family, and you're going to control the physical and spiritual destiny of those who are the nearest and dearest to you. And you're going to do it in Jesus' name, folks. And I'm going to close this right now. God bless you guys.